Hello, everyone, and welcome back to AGX Media. Today, we're interviewing Joey Wagner, the Bitcoin and blockchain analyst for the goldforecast.com. Highly recommend you check them out. A couple weeks back, we had Gary Wagner on the line with us, discussing with us precious metals. And now we're here on the line with Joey to get the other side of the coin and speak a little bit more to the blockchain side of things. So, Joey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, before we get started, guys, as per usual, if this is your first time joining us and you like what you hear today, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way for helping us carry the message of modern silver and gold money and the honest money revolution that we're trying to bring forward. So without further ado, Joey, let's dive right into it. What's your take on this Bitcoin rally? How much of this has to do with mainstream adoption and players like PayPal now taking a position in the space?
Well, I believe the PayPal adoption as well as institutional investors were critical in this rally. And in fact, the $12,500 resistance level, which had only been breached 2 times since the fall from grace in 2017, was broken the day that PayPal made that announcement. And it hasn't looked back since. I think that is probably the biggest thing to happen to Bitcoin this year, at least. And I see it continuing to be more widely adopted.
Right. So, where do you see prices headed then? We have some analysts calling for like absolutely massive numbers. Some people calling for 100,000 at the end of the year. I don't know how grounded in reality those thoughts are, but where do you see things going? What's your thought
Uh,
process behind it?
well, I don't see Bitcoin on the most bullish scenario. I could see Bitcoin maybe possibly hitting 25,000 by 2021, but really, as long as it can hold its current gains, that's extremely bullish. Because realize no other rally in Bitcoin previously has ever gone to all-time highs and consolidated, which is something that Bitcoin really hasn't had, that stability. And I think it's the institutional investors and the adoption that's helped propping it up and keeping it from falling out of bed.
Right. Compared to what we saw in the last bull run or bull market, where at the end of it, it essentially completely collapsed, eventually all the way down to that $3,000 mark. So I'm assuming that you yourself are a holder, and for many Bitcoin investors, that's their long-term strategy. But we're at all-time highs right now. So would you say now is a good time for somebody who is not in the blockchain space, not invested in Bitcoin, to get into the market?
I think any time is a good time to get into Bitcoin, especially for holders for long-term positions, because I believe long-term it's only going to continue upwards. And for traders of it, I would say maybe not so much. I personally, if I was trading it, I would wait till January of next year, maybe, to see if it has a slight pullback.
Absolutely. Smart words. So we've spoken now about Bitcoin largely, but what are your thoughts on other assets like Ethereum and the other sort of altcoins that are out there in the market?
Well, back in 2017, when Bitcoin was the rave, all the altcoins were also just came into fashion, and everybody was looking for the next big coin, so to speak. Me personally, I am not too bullish or don't pay a lot of attention to the altcoins, to most of them, but the stable coins and the commodity backed coins such as yours, where it's backed by gold and silver, I think have a definite place in the economy and in the market. And I think that they're a good addition and a good bridge for people that might not truly accept or believe in Bitcoin, but want to get exposure to it without the risk.
Fair enough. I think that's a really mature approach to take. But with that said, oftentimes in the community surrounding gold and silver and Bitcoin, there's a little bit of a competition going on. There are often this argument that either gold is better than Bitcoin or that Bitcoin is better than gold, and that the two can't coexist peacefully. What are your takes? What's your take on this narrative?
Well, I think there's room for both of them. And I think they're both going to be used for decades from this point. I do see some of the interest in gold eventually shifting over to Bitcoin in the coming years, so to speak. But I don't think gold's going to go away, and I definitely don't think Bitcoin's going to go away. I think there's room for both. I think that gold is probably the safer bet, but with less upside potential.
No, I can understand why you'd have those thoughts on the differences between the two. Gold definitely has a much longer history, and hopefully Bitcoin continues to stabilize. As you mentioned earlier, we're sort of consolidating at this all-time high as opposed to how things were behaving in the last bull market. So very, very interesting takes, Joey. Thank you for joining us today. Do you have any closing thoughts for our audience?
For closing statements, I would just like to reiterate the fact that this rally was fundamentally based on adoption, and adoption will only continue in the future. And that adoption is going to increase liquidity, increase pricing. And if, as long as Bitcoin can even hold these levels until next year, that would be the most bullish achievement, outdoing any other previous rally that was unable to hold its parabolic rise. And the fact is, it is stabilizing right now and seems to be consolidating. And I see 2021 as being exciting because 2020 was a fundamental shift in how Bitcoin is viewed and how it's traded and how it reacts to the world.
Some very wise words, and once again, I think great insight. Joey, once again, thank you for joining us today. One more time for our audience out there, Joey is the Bitcoin and blockchain analyst for the goldforecast.com. Highly recommend you guys checking them out. And again, as per usual, if this is your first time joining us, please head over to agxpay.com to learn how the power of modern silver money can help you guys claim financial freedom. Take care, guys.